Hello everyone and welcome to the stream. I am just going to post links and we will get going. We have a very long stream to go today. We are going to start at Sydney. We have flight past Sydney installed, and traffic and ATC will be provided by Beyond ATC today. Everything is looking crisp. I have also fixed my Atmos profiles. So it's going to be a nice scenic flight from Sydney to Brisbane. And while we are cruising, we are also going to analyze some stocks. Moise is here, what's up? Rumples is here as well. And Genuine GG's is here. What's up, everyone? So we're going to get started here real quick. I had some problems trying to get my jetways working at Sydney, but I think I have it figured out finally. I think it was something to do with my GSX. But okay, so we have, oh, by the way, the main thing, we also have 737-800 high detail update installed as well. So while doing the walk around, we'll check it out and see how it looks like. I've heard that it looks amazing. Actually, you know what? I can show you right now. I think most of you guys might have already installed it on 700 because a lot of people bought into the 700 update. I just honestly just waited it out for 800 because 800 was the first one that came out for 2024, so that's the one I had. If you watch my video, you know. But yeah, now you have all kinds of detail going on in the landing gear bay, and the landing gears are also now very highly detailed. Overall, just the external model is much better detailed and at par with all the other add-ons that have been coming out in this price range. A lot of people had I also had complaints that the wheel was pretty much looking very blocky, which now it's not the case. We have very highly detailed external models and textures going on. So yeah, pretty good. Nothing really has changed with the flight model from what I know, but it has been a while since I've flown the Pmdg 737, so it's going to be fun. Overall, I just like how stable Pmdg 737 is, both in terms of software and also while flying it just feels amazing. This is one of the add-ons where I have love-hate relationship with the company. I've always not agreed with their pricing policies, but then when I fly the airplane, I'm like, man, this is just so well optimized and it just flies so well. You just have to be careful about purchasing only the variants that you really want, and you have to be willing to wait for the updates on the variants that you want, because they're going to keep flipping the release schedule, and they'll want you to try to, they'll want you to buy as many variants as possible, and that's how they will manage their update schedules. But you just have to control your urge to buy into that and just wait it out. But yeah, it looks really good. Rumpel says, I retried X-Plane 12 this week, didn't work out so hot, not as smooth and mechanically as yeah, I've had that problem too. Maybe try using smooth motion through NVIDIA app. That improves the smoothness quite a bit. But yeah, it's definitely not as smooth as Msfs because you just have so much of tech that you can use on Msfs to make it feel smooth. So that's the thing. It'll never feel as smooth as Msfs until they implement motion vectors, which is when you'll be able to use DLSS. And then when you're able to use DLSS, that's when you'll be able to use frame gen and Swish is asking, are you still rocking 40 FPS X3F? Yes, it's the exact same setting that I have still not changed. And you're asking about my auto FPS settings real quick. So that's my auto FPS settings. Let me bring that up. Unfortunately, when I click on the auto FPS window, it changes my frame rates, but you can see that I'm running base frames 40 and then multiplying it by 3 to 120. My TLOD base is 200, 1500 feet, 400, 3000 feet, mountains enabled for extra LOD, and then I don't change anything else with auto FPS. I only wanted to control my TLOD. So that's what I rock in terms of auto FPS setting. We are running that as well today. Let me answer a couple of more questions. Rumpel is asking, what does the fundamental movements? It was really clunky as far as the actual movements and flight dynamics of the. I feel like MSFS has gotten very close to explain now in terms of how the airplanes feel. It's more about the corner cases now, like stalls and stuff. But even that, I would say it's very close. Most of the sims, it's really hard to get that nice nose drop. You will almost always just drop your wing when you try to stall the airplane, which is kind of weird because in real life you should be able to just drop the nose. But anyway, I feel like MSFS has gotten really close in terms of flight dynamics to explain. There's no more this huge difference which we used to have on FSX and P3D, where P3D used to just feel so much like on the rail. Same with FSX. Now with MSFS 2020 and 2024, all the stuff that they've implemented with like the integrated CFD along with whatever the legacy flight model and the way things work, I feel like we've gotten really close. Thanks, bro. What does ticking the MSFS on top right do? I noticed when I tick it, is that sound stutter? I have no clue which one you're talking about. Oh, is it this one you're talking about? I'm not sure, to be honest. Enable MSFS performance optimization. Can improve or reduce performance depending on system. Oh, I think this is just to if you want to tick any of this, I think this enables that option, but I'm not sure. I'm on the latest release candidate. I'll have to read the manual for this one. Not sure what it does, but I've left it ticked, and I've also set my priority to above normal just in case it affects anything, and then also on the best power plan so that it doesn't reduce the power consumption in order to like mess with something on my sim. But yeah, that's what I'm running. So let's at least get our ATIS and start doing things here, and let me know if you guys cannot hear my Beyond ATC voice enough.
No clouds detected. Temperature 18 degrees. 0.16 degrees, QNH1019er, landing and departing runways 34 right, 34 left, transition level 110, read back, all hold short instructions, advise on initial contact you have information whiskey. Kingsford.
Okay, information whiskey and QNH1019. Weather is going to be pretty decent today. Oh, whiskey changed to X now. Let's go over X again real quick.
Transition level
it just changed.
Read back, all hold short instructions. Advise on initial contact you have information X-ray.
Moe says sound is clear, thank you. It always helps because I can't really tell from OBS whether you guys are able to hear it right.
Temperature 18 degrees, 0.15 degrees, QNH1019er, landing and departing runways 34 right, 34 left, transition level 110. Read back all hold short instructions. Advise on initial contact you have information X-ray.
Information X-ray is good. Let's go to clearance and we will ask for clearance. Let me just make sure my auto respond, I want to turn my auto respond off, I guess. Auto tune radio is good, that is on, and we are on Sydney delivery. By the way, this is the first flight I'm doing with Beyond ATC after a while. I've been stuck on using the Stay Intentions, but this is the first flight I'm doing with Beyond ATC. I feel like Stay Intentions has been a little too expensive for what it is. Sometimes it just doesn't do what I want. It's going to be a long taxi. Holy, I have to taxi all the way from... Damn. I wish I had my iPad pulled up on here as well. I forgot to do that, but I can just pull up Navigraph when I want to show you anything. So we are here and we have to go all the way to 3-4 right. So it's going to be a long taxi. We can probably talk while taxiing. That's a long one. Going to go all the way from here, cross this runway, cross here, and then go here. So yeah, expect a long taxi here. But let's go ahead and at least ask for our IFR clearance. Which gate are we on here? Gate 6. Okay. Sydney delivery Qantas 764 at gate 6 with information X-ray, requesting IFR to Brisbane Asphalt. VKK saying, will we actually talk about stocks and finance? Yes sir, we're going to talk about it as soon as we take off and put it on autopilot. We're going to right away start talking about that. Swish is saying that whole flight model debate is getting really old IMO with aircraft like Black Square and A2A, the difference negligible. I totally agree. Like I'll tell you this thing. I'll tell you how I realized that. Okay, so we are on ground, we have everything. Okay, I have auto respond on just so that I can talk to you guys more and I don't have to keep listening to. Rumpel says 6 out of 10. Is that for the sound or is that for something else? Yeah, so comment on the flight model, right? Yeah, it has been getting, like, this whole debate is getting really old because I feel like when I was flying A2A airplanes, I was genuinely impressed with obviously how good it flies. And then I was like, you know what? Let me buy a study level airplane on what do you call this? X-plane, and then see if it feels any different. So I went ahead and bought the Airfoil Labs Cessna 172, and I was surprised at how unrealistic Airfoil Labs 172 felt in the air compared to, let's say, A2A Comanche or Black Square Bonanza. It just felt very off to me. And I don't know if it's just me or it just felt extremely off. So that's when I realized that I feel like this whole debate about like, oh, X-plane is so much better in flight model. I don't think so. There are things that X-plane does really well though, and that is clouds, atmospherics, weather, all of that stuff. X-plane does really well at it. Of course, it's a hit or miss, right? Sometimes you will just not get the best representation and you'll have some blocky clouds and stuff, but it happens on MSFS as well sometimes. So overall, I feel like this flight model thing, I wouldn't go to X-plane just for the flight model. I would go to X-plane to experience better atmospherics and stuff like that. I wish there was a way to just quickly mute out on I can just go to some random frequency and then come back here later. Yeah, because I don't want this thing to just keep going. Okay, Rumpel saying I moved to Say Intentions about 2 months ago. I started with them and first came out, they were too expensive. I've noticed Beyond ATC has had a lot of updates lately. May take another look. Yeah, that's why we are taking another look today, because it's been updated quite a bit since I last used it. Let's see what else we have here. I'm gonna just go ahead and turn on the APU here, because we will be out of here pretty quick. And in terms of flight plan, let me just view my SimBrief OFP. By the way, do you guys want to see my yoke cam? I've left it off, but if you want, I can obviously turn it on. Yeah, just let me know. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna just turn it on so that you guys can see it. It's a little bit more fun, I guess. Set up big. Okay. I think you guys should be able to see my yoke cam. So I have my iPad in front. That's where I'm looking at my flight plan here. So in terms of flight level, we are going to 370. Let's get that in here. 370. But yeah, stock talks are coming soon. As soon as we enable autopilot. 370. Rumpel saying I really like QQQ, IVW, IVV, DIA, TOT, ETFs. Nice. ETFs is a good way to start. And I mean, not even start. Some people have all of their portfolios throughout their life in ETFs, and they do really well. It's actually a lower risk way of investing instead of picking companies and investing in specific companies, because then you're exposed to a higher risk that way, right? Because now your money is in at one place basically. So yeah, I agree. ETFs are awesome. Let's turn on APU bleed, isolation valve to auto, and then let's start prepping our FMC here. Last position, put that in, route, let's get this out, flight plan request. Oops, wait, what? Oh, I know why, because we haven't loaded our flight plan here, that's why. Let's confirm 1019, come in here, should show up now. Set payload, set fuel. We are going to do that quick load up today and let the route to load. Yeah, ETFs are amazing. Rumpel says, I think the flight model and explain is just too clunky, especially when you are in taxi. It just doesn't feel realistic at all. Another thing that I observed was when I was flying the the Level Up 737. I didn't like how it handles on the ground. I like the way Pmdg handles on the ground much more, and not just on the ground. Also in the air, I just feel like Pmdg handles so much better, like 100% better than Level Up. And I don't know if you guys will agree with that, but I really like Pmdg airplanes. It's just that I am not 100% convinced that they have the best pricing policies and release timelines. Swish said, dang, I thought you got the Moza yoke. I remember you were super close to pulling the trigger. I was, man, but I'm like, man, this is a good time to invest. I don't know if it's smart to put in like freaking $1,000 on a force feedback yoke, but trust me, man, every other day I go back to that product page and I'm like, man, I just want it. How about I figure out some payment plan or something? Because with my credit card I can actually do a payment plan. So we're going to go to 34 left, right? So okay, so 34 left, and then what's the departure? Radar vectors to Allsim. Okay, so there's no departure. Is that? Yeah, Allsim. Okay, there's no departure. We will just execute this here, and then departure arrival Brisbane. We are going to do 19 left, but I guess it's bound to change at some point. So let's just put that in and we'll figure it out later. And in legs we have test set, but then I'm gonna remove that because there's no, our first waypoint is just going to be awesome because we are going to be vectored to awesome. Okay, so that's good. Init ref perf init, let's request that. Yeah, it's very close to pulling the yoke on Moza. I'm still very close to it. I already pulled the well, not pulling the yoke, pulling the trigger. I already pulled the trigger on Winwing new FFB joysticks. Well, at least I pre-ordered it, but I'm yet to pay for it because this time the way they're doing it is once it comes in stock, only then you have to pay for it. So I have pre-ordered it, but I have actually pre-ordered the ED16 and also the EB29 because I haven't decided yet whether I should get the EB29, which is a belt drive force feedback, versus getting ED16, which is a direct drive but a lower peak torque. So I'll decide at some point. For now, I've heard that direct drive, if I want to be future safe, but go for what's the wind today? You missed that. $290 at 5. Okay. 290 at 5. So yeah, direct drive if you want to be future proof. Because I don't know, so at some point I do want to get into DCS when I get really bored of just doing this Msfs explain business, maybe at some point. So then that warrants for an ED16 purchase, but I don't know, we'll see. We'll see what I'm feeling when I actually get to a point where I have to pay for either. Also, another thing that really matters is which one comes into stock first, because sometimes if the demand is really high, maybe one of them will not even come into stock for a while, so I'll be just forced to get something else, because as you can see in my setup, I really don't have any stick right now. So I'm not flying any Airbuses, I'm not flying anything that requires a stick. Okay, runway heading, we can set this to runway heading. That's good enough. We can adjust it later. Let's see if we still remember flying this airplane. That should be $4116. That makes us ready for push and start, doesn't it? Why does it say speed brake armed? Oh god damn it. Okay, I think my settings are off in terms of my controls. Let me go back to Bravo throttle quadrant, get back to chat real quick here. Pmdg, okay. Not sure why then the throttle isn't operating as it should. Oh, okay, it is. Okay. It is. Maybe there was some bug going on. Swish is saying I got... Moise is saying that, bro, my Bravo throttle quadrant just arrived 10 minutes. Oh man, congrats. It is not at all difficult to set it up. It's mostly plug and play. You'll have to do some setup if you're planning to use it for like a turboprop, like a dual turboprop or something like that, but apart from that, it's not difficult to set up at all. I got DCS and the Moza AB9 absolutely. Oh damn, dude. AB9, man, that's another thing that I've been looking at videos of AB9 and just being like, oh man, should I just get AB9 before this Winwing arrives, you know? Yeah, AB9 is another thing that's been really ruining my sleep these days. Basically, if there is an AB9 video on YouTube, I've watched it. That's how I'll put it. Moise is saying, to be honest, VR's just useless for flight simming. I agree. I have a VR headset and it's just not fun, man. It's just not fun because it just ruins your colors and everything. It's so weird. Ground 3-4 left. Let's go request push and start. Sydney ground Qantas 764 requesting push and start gate 6.
Qantas 764 Sydney ground pushback approved. Face west.
Pushback and engine start approved. Face west. Qantas 764.
I want to set up for the black square and 737. How about this? You don't need to mess with any of that. What I can do is I can just go to settings, controls, and then let me see. So I can send you the Pmdg file. Okay. Airplane. How do I export it? Okay. So export. Okay. Just leave general controls to none. You don't need any of that. Airplane controls, I'm gonna export this one, and let me see, so the Pmdg, and then another one I'll export is for you, twin prop. Okay, so I'm gonna export this one as well, twin prop, and then the third one will be Phoenix Airbus. I'll export this for you, and then what else? Any build A350, I'll export this one for you as well, because it's a little bit different, you know, all of them are a little bit different on the way. Single engine prop, this is a very important one. You can use this for basically all the single engine props, black square, A2A, every single thing. So yeah, that's pretty much all you need. So I can now open up Discord and put all these files on our Discord so that you don't have to set up anything. You just import a file and you'll be done. I don't want nitro. Where should I put it? Maybe in post your setups. Let me put it there. And then desktop, pull all these files, and that's it. There you go. All 4 files are there now, so you should be able to just import them and get going. You don't need to manually set up anything. Okay, thank me later. Now another thing that's probably important for you to see is how, actually, you know what, let me turn this to TA only. Another important thing to note is how I have set up my throttle quadrant in like physical terms. Where are all the levers and all that? So I always leave it this way. I do not change this at all, ever. Okay, let me get my camera in here. So this is basically how I always leave it. So my first 2 axes here, these 2 axes are always throttle 1 and throttle 2. Even on a single engine prop, I don't move this. I just assign this one to throttle 1 and I move these together. Like, it doesn't matter. Okay. These 2 are set to propeller 1 and 2. And these last 2 are set to mixture or condition levers. If it's a turboprop, it's a condition lever, both of these. And if it's a normal engine piston engine, then it's mixture control. Okay. So that's how I have set it up. And I don't change this for any airplane. I just leave it as is because I fly a lot of different airplanes. So I'm not interested in changing it. So when you use my files, make sure that you have your throttle set up this way. Now on Pmdg, you will see that this last lever, this one here, is basically my speed brake. Okay. So you'll see that my speed brakes are operating. So this one I have assigned it to speed brakes on airliners. So Airbus and all of those airplanes, you will have this one as speed brake. And then flap lever is this little flap lever here. That's what I use for flaps always. So when you use my files, this is how the quadrant is really set up. Okay.
Express freight 7524, taxi to ramp 125 via Bravo 8 Charlie, Bravo 4 Bravo, Charlie 1 Charlie, cross runway.
Thanks, saved us a lot of time. No problem. Anything to save time. Like, this is all dumb shit. Like, why would you do all this, right? You can just import it and get done. So we are ready for pushback. We have pushback approved and face west. So let's pull up this thing real quick. Make sure that okay. So we'll be facing this way, and probably going to be Charlie all the way, Charlie, Bravo 10, maybe, and Lima, cross this, Alpha, and then 34 left. Just noting down what to expect here. So pushback and startup is approved. Let's get the parking brakes out. I am getting some stutters, I don't know why. And then GSX, I think I'll have to bug it again. Continue pushback. What is it saying? Oh, by the way, before that, let me make sure all the doors and stuff, everything is good. Wheel chocks removed. That should do everything, I think. Yeah, that should do everything. And then let's do standard. What does that mean? Pushback menu has changed in this thing. Okay, let's just do standard and see what it does. Release parking brake. Yeah. Okay, it did push me. I was like, what is it doing? Okay, let's go ahead and start. By the way, Boris sounds. Oh, close Discord. Okay, maybe that's what's causing. Let me see. Quit Discord. Yeah, it's possible. I think I've seen that issue before where Discord causes some stutters. Also, I'm running like almost everything that I can, so kind of overloaded on the PC as well. Honey Bunny says I got good news. What is it? Are you getting married? Or having a kid? That's all I can think of right now. Fuck man, the sounds. Sounds amazing, man. Sounds are so good. Airbus TCA side sticks. I think you should order, if you are going to order the Airbus TCA side stick, think about ordering the Ursa Minor instead. Almost the same budget, but yeah, almost the same budget. You will get much better damping and whatnot. I think it's superior to Airbus TCA side. He's 18 and you can get married at 18, no? I thought 18 was the age. Okay, let's start the other one. Got too involved listening to these sounds. What the heck? Where's that guy going? No, don't come here. No. No, man, no. Get away. Nice, thank you. Honey Bunny says I wanted the Ursa Minor, but my parents got scared that it's getting manufactured in China. Dude, trust me. I used it for at least 1 year, I think 1.5 years. It is amazing. Trust me. It is definitely way better than your TCA. But yeah, anyway, congrats though. It's still a good stick. It's just that there's something better now in the market, because that product is a very old product. So I just sold my Ursa Minor actually a month or so back. There was a guy from Florida who was, I think, doing his flight school, and he was like, I really want a stick. And I was like, how about $60? I bought that thing for like $120. Honey Bunny says, and the shipping prices are high, so the Ursa Minor went from like 5k to 14k. Whoa, okay. Well, that changes the decision then, because I thought that shipping is not that bad, but I guess that's only for US. Okay, both engines are good. Let's change the engine start switches to continuous. Logo lights on. Probe heat on, yaw damper on, and then we should have done this before all of that, but whatever. Get the APU bleed off. Packs can come on. Pack sounds are very loud. Taxi lights can come on, and APU can go off. Okay, all good there. Auto brakes to RTO, and what's our takeoff flaps? 5. So let's get 3 notches of flaps in. Auto throttle can come on. Shamit says, bro, I have 4060 laptop. Msfs runs really well, no lag, only sometimes used to stutter. TLOD already 150, rest medium high. Clouds Ultra looks blurry. Any solution? Clouds Ultra, still ground texture look blurry. Can you share a photo or something on Discord? That'll help us better. Okay, I think we are ready to ask for taxi. Moise says, same bro, I paid $70 shipping on Ursa Minor and stick not arrived yet. Gosh man, these guys at WinWing really need to get their shit together. I hope that doesn't happen with my stick that I have ordered. 15-20 like it took for mine, it took maybe like 7 or 8 days to come in. I don't know if they have some warehouse or something in US. Maybe that's why it's quicker. Sydney ground Qantas 764 requesting taxi to 34 left.
Qantas 764 taxi via Bravo 2, Bravo Charlie 1 Charlie, Bravo Lima, hold short of runway 34 left.
Ooh, okay.
Bravo 2, Bravo Charlie 1, Charlie, Bravo, Lima, hold short of runway.
What the hell was that?
764.
So Bravo to Bravo. Okay, so I need to keep going, turn, take a left. Okay, Bravo to Bravo, and then keep going Bravo, and then what is he saying? Lima. Bravo to Bravo, and then Lima. Where the heck is okay, Lima is there, and then hold short 34 left. Okay, got it. That's not hard. We can do that. Moe says I ordered from global shipping. They shipped to me from China. That's why it takes almost 1.5 months. Man. But in US there is a warehouse. Okay, that makes more sense. Because I was like, man, I've never had problems shipping from... but I guess, yeah, they ship it. That's why, yeah, I guess it makes sense. On the website, you have an option to select continental United States. So if you select global shipping, that's where it probably... Any country that's not on there, it probably takes a while. Okay, finally. Let's get going. Rumpel says there's a guy on YouTube that runs FS 2024 on 3080. Still looks amazing. Yeah, I've seen some decent, some really good photographs actually from guys who are running, you know, mid-tier systems. Msfs really doesn't look bad on medium settings. It's not required to go to the highest settings possible. It just gives that little bit of an extra X factor if you turn it all to ultra, but it doesn't, it's definitely not needed. Look at that little guy behind us. Look at that little guy behind us. Okay, I'm gonna enable my track IR now. Actually, you know what? No, because I have to read chat. Honey Bunny, you also have orders from global shipping. Bro, you airborne. Buy the U or some minor for us. Give us discounted shipping. I'll have to charge you guys for shipping again, because I have to ship from here to India or Pakistan or wherever. So man, it looks so real. Look at that. Is he still behind us? Yep. He's still behind us. Yeah, it's kind of sad that you guys have to go through this for Winwing products. Wind control now. Wind control products. Because it's like one of the best, you know, sturdiest products on the market. Let me enable my frame rate monitor, because I feel like I'm dropping frames or facing some stutters here. I don't know if you guys see it. Maybe I'm going too hard on my... How about I go 150 here? Maybe I'm going too hard on my TLOD. And it's not able to maintain 40 FPS reliably. Okay, so we are good. Yeah, exactly. It's going to cost you more if I ship from here to India than you guys. Oh, look at that. Did you see that? There was a 777 taking off opposite 34 right, I think. Yeah, it's going to definitely cost you more if I ship it to you from here. Look at that guy rocketing with the engines off. The ground handling feels way better on this Pmdg and Msfs than on Level Up and X-Plane. And also just in the air when you take off, Level Up has this tendency of yo-yoing, while Pmdg just flies so well. Obviously I can't comment on how real or not real that is, but it just feels so good when you fly the Pmdg versus Level Up. Man, I love the ground texture work by Flight Tampa. Atmos is looking crazy good today. Crazy. I finally nailed my Atmos preset last night because over the time making all these edits, it had changed the way it looked and it wasn't looking good at all. I think some of you guys have complained about it on Discord. So yeah, now it's fixed. Flight Ampa Sydney looks solid. I agree. Looks so good, man. The ground textures are crazy. So high res. Look at that. We have two Q400s behind us. Just lined up. It's kind of hard to taxi with this camera, but I am enjoying this cinematics. Okay, Lima is it coming up? No, it's not. It's still far. I think I can just go idle at this point. So yeah, stock talks in probably like 10 minutes. And I'll need my disc. I guess I can look it up on my phone because there was some stocks that you guys have listed out which we wanted to analyze. So we'll do those first. And by the way, I haven't done any homework, so it's going to be all live. Ooh, whoa, okay. There was some issue with the ground there. I'm glad I've disabled crashes. Honey Bunny says, bro, I played X-Plane 12 for the first time in my friend's house in his PC and it was the best experience. X-Plane 12's like there's some novelty factor to it. When you go to X-Plane 12 after flying on Msfs for a while, you will feel like, oh man, this is the sim, you know. But then when you fly it enough, you'll realize that it still has some time left before we can call it as a primary sim, you know. Maybe it'll never happen because of how much money there is injected in Msfs 2024. May never happen. That's Lima. And we're going to go on the second one because that's what's labeled as Lima. And then we are supposed to just hold on this. Yeah, when I went to X-Plane 12 for the first time, after a while, I think that was a couple of months back, I felt like, damn, this sim is it. Looks so good, feels so good, but when you start flying it more, you realize that, man. Okay, we are allowed to cross already, so that's good. Okay, so Lima, Alpha, and then we'll go to the holding point now. We are allowed to cross. Runway is clear, I think. Yep. I am seeing some stutters, so I'll have to figure out. And this is not new actually. I have been seeing stutters in the sim since my last couple of flights. And maybe it's just because I'm running so many programs in parallel, and that's why. Okay, let's see. But I was flying with a mouse? What the heck? Speed Break is asking, you are Indian? Yes. I was born in India. And then I lived there for 18, 20. 22 years before I got. So now I've been in US for about 10, 11 years. Honey Bunny says once I get my gaming PC, I'll have to change from my TCA side stick to Ursa miner. Yeah. No, I mean, another idea is you can just order your TCA side stick, and then you can also parallelly order the Ursa miner. Use the TCA side stick until you get the Ursa miner, and then return your TCA side stick. Because I think your return window is what, 1 month? 1 month or 90 days? I don't remember. I haven't returned a lot of things in the past few months. Most of the time when I return, it's probably with some issue going on with it. But I'm sure you can return your Thrustmaster in a month or something. Did they tell us to do anything? I don't think so. Taxi to holding point Alpha 6. Is this Alpha 6? Yes, it is. Okay, over to tower. Okay, this is going to be epic. Let me make sure that all my views and everything are set up correctly for this departure. Okay, looks good. And I can actually go ahead and request departure. So I'll not look at chat for maybe like 5 minutes while we depart, and then I'll come back to it because I have my track IR enabled. So heading select will be on for departure because we are going to be vectored. Let's go ahead and request departure. Co-pilot will do that. Okay, cleared for takeoff, 340, and we already have our initial altitude. Bart is asking, are you taxiing to your destination? No, this is our departure. We are still departing. Bro, the sky in X-Plane 12 looks much better than Msfs in my opinion. 100%. Yeah, the clouds and the way the horizon is, the scattering and stuff like that just looks so much. Also, flying through clouds feel much more real in X-Plane. Okay, let's get out of here. Oh, the sounds, man. Okay, let's go. Let's go. Oh, man. That looks so good, man.
V1 rotate.
Get up. Okay. Keep flying the heading and up to 6,000 feet. And I want to admire this area, so unfortunately we are gonna have to turn autopilot on. As much as I want to fly manual, it just looks so good. Look at that. Oh man. Look at that. Holy shit, man. That looks so good. My God, bro. Okay, right heading 045. Let's do that. 045 and also 180. Why am I using this while I can just use my... Interesting. Not sure why my autopilot panel is not working on the throttle quadrant. We have to remember here the transition altitude is 10,000, I think. Damn. How do you import the control files? I cannot figure it out. Let me show you that real quick. Is this FS crew first officer voice? No, this is Beyond ATC's first officer. This is all Beyond ATC's co-pilot handling the ATC for us on the side. And Honey Bunny is asking, can you make a video on how to read charts of SIDS and stars, understand them? Yeah, we can do that, but there's just so much content around that already that I feel like I don't know if I can add much value to it. There's better teachers than me who have already done this stuff. So, man, look at that. Apple, Moise is asking, is this Apple Maps or default? It is default. I thought I will not use Apple Maps today just so that you guys can see how it looks without any I need to turn down my sim volume, I think, just so you can see how it looks like without the map enhancement. And it looks pretty good, not gonna lie. It's just that the resolution goes down a little bit compared to Apple Maps, but it's nothing crazy. Like, it's not. It's not a problem, guys. It's not a problem. It's not a problem. We'll forget that it ever happened, okay? It's not a problem. Just some stick shaker action. Nothing crazy. We were just admiring the scenery and it went a little crazy on us. Aryan Sim is, what's up, man? Dude, I don't know. Bro was out there on Discord doing stuff yesterday. Bart says, sorry if I missed it. Are you using Rex at? I'm using Reshade and I'm using Atmos. And all my Atmos profiles are updated as of yesterday. Here's what you should be on if you want to use the latest. Airborne Geek Live Weather, Realistic Enviro, and Realistic Atmos. And this Atmos preset is actually built off of the AB Msfs because I had messed mine up, so I took his and edited a few values according to how I liked it. So full honesty, it's not from the scratch. It is using his preset and then editing it for my sim, because there are things that my Reshade does which I don't want Atmos to do, so just a little bit of edits here and there. Anyway, time for stock talks. Money making time. Let's go and look at our Discord and see what stocks we had here. Oh, actually, let me see. I had to show Moise how to import the profiles, right? Let me show you that real quick. Controls, and then so what you do here is just click on this setting icon and then import. So when you click on import, this will open up, and then just pick your thing, pick the file. That's all you have to do. That should do it. Okay, I think we should be good to start our talking. Sorry if Honey Bunny says is 2,500 feet per minute normal for A330 900 descent next plane 12. I have no clue, dude. Bart says cool. AG, could you do a video your scenery settings? I can show you right now. Doesn't require a video. So right now I'm doing a TLOD of 400, but remember my TLOD is being controlled by auto FPS, and then everything else I just pretty much max it out. Only thing that's set to low is aircraft traffic and stuff like that, which I don't want Msfs to spawn traffic. So that's all. Very easy. That's why I don't make videos of my settings anymore, because it's just so boring. Like, hey, here's my settings. I run everything at ultra. Okay, so going to the investing channel. What were some of the stocks that were there here? SMH, Visa, Apple, AMD, Nvidia, MSFT, Microsoft. Now maybe let's start looking from the most obvious ones, which is AMD and Nvidia, and then we look at SMH, Visa, and Apple. So whenever I am looking at a company, we'll do it from scratch. Okay, there are things that I know already about these companies which we'll ignore. We'll just do it from scratch. So whenever I'm looking at any company, the first thing that I look at is, by the way, I'm gonna remove the, I don't know, should I remove the live camera? I think I'll keep it. First thing that you should look at is, how does this company make money? So for that, you can just go to, say, you can just go to ChatGPT. Let me log in real quick on that. And then, so before looking at any statements, anything, right, just understanding how that company even makes money is very important. So what I would do is, let's say we are looking at AMD, right? So you can say, down all the revenue streams and the, what do you call it, like division, and the, and forgetting English now. That's a terrible way to write prompts, but I think it'll do it. Honey Bunny says don't use ChatGPT, I recommend Claude. I do have Claude actually, but the problem with Claude is it runs out of tokens really quickly. So it's a pain in the ass to do anything on Claude. Like, yeah, I do have Claude installed and I use it for a lot of stuff on my PC, but the problem is it's just running out of tokens. I agree, Claude is like much more superior than ChatGPT. Moving my yoke? I'm not moving my yoke. Did it? I think it's probably because I am like twitching my legs or something. So 370, let's go to 370. And by the way, if we get to a point where we are going to land, we can just land and then we can start looking at this again. So 370, not 80. Okay. Okay, that's good. I'm afraid that it's not very long flight, but it's okay. So yeah, first thing you would do is just look at like where is the revenue coming from. So if you do the same, if you make this, you know what, if you do the same thing on Claude, you might get better results. Just plot the same, not plot, but give it the same prompt. Let's see what it does. Because I use Claude to build my company analyzer tool. I at least get the ideas from it, and then I use ChatGPT Codex to actually code the tool. But yeah, so Claude is also giving us pretty good details here, and this thing also gave us pretty good, decent amount of detail. I feel like for this kind of stuff, it's fine. If you want to build dashboards and code and all that, then I think the code function of Claude is much better. But like I said, right, I just keep running out of tokens so quickly on Claude, even though I have the pro version, that it's a pain. Like I always see myself coming back to ChatGPT Plus because I'm almost always out of tokens on Claude. But anyway, let's get to the real topic here. It doesn't matter which AI tool we use, but the concept is to understand where the revenue is coming from and how much of that is coming from where, right? Like the percent revenue. So here's the deal. AMD earns 48% from data centers, so that's a big thing. So while I'm reading all this, I'm thinking, what are the risks going into this company, right? So data center revenue is huge chunk of the total revenue, which means that if the AI narrative were to change, and if there was not a need of these many data centers, then AMD would lose a chunk of the business. So while I'm reading this, I'm thinking that, okay, so that means if I buy into this stock, that means I'm definitely big on the whole AI narrative that's going on right now. And if that were to fall apart for whatever reason, right, we cannot predict. If we were to say that, we don't need as many data centers, then this is something that I should be careful about, because this is a big chunk of the revenue. Then you have client PC CPUs. This business is actually growing very fast, which we'll look at later. Gaming, look at that. Gaming is just 11.3% of the business, and that's something you will see on Nvidia as well. It's like gaming is just a very small part of the business. And then you have embedded chips, adaptive chips, industrial, automotive, aerospace, telecom. That's like 10%. So these two add up to 20%. And then you have client or PC CPUs, desktop, laptop, stuff like that. The maximum is this one. So I believe this one and the CPU business is growing the fastest. And then just roughly look at, Epic server CPUs, these go into cloud servers, enterprise servers, AI infrastructure. So this is important, right? And then this one's important as well. One thing I've heard is that AMD's software side of things is still kind of in the works, and Nvidia is superior when it comes to like providing the whole architecture. I forget the name of both the softwares, but this is more for like the whole AI thing. What just happened? It just for some reason I probably moved my yoke or something and it cancelled my autopilot, turned it off. But yeah, AMD software has a little bit to go, but there's nothing that they cannot catch up on. But yeah, client CPUs, and then you have Radeon GPUs embedded. All okay. So something to learn from this is that they are huge on data center revenue, so just be careful about that. Now the next thing you would look at is the tool that I have, which is the financial dashboard. So I've already plotted things out here. So the first let me read chat. Worst is Grok. I haven't used Grok at all, so I have no clue how it is. Moe says, nah, I'm not. Hey, what's up? Was banned, I think. Yeah, I banned you, but then I also unbanned you, so I at least join back. But the thing is, don't talk about this shit on the Discord. Like, first of all, like, I'll make it very clear my position on this whole thing. Like, it takes a lot of development time to build these things, right? And it's just so, I don't know, it's not good to pirate this stuff, man. Like, I don't even want to talk about it because it takes so many hours to build this, and they're asking for what, $10, $20, $30? That's like lunch or dinner, couple of lunches maybe. It's nothing, and you're going to use this airport or whatever so many times. It's just crazy to pirate that kind of stuff. And also saying, like, the whole regional part of it in the chat really pissed me off, that, oh, you are from this country, how can you not pirate? Well, this is exactly the reason why I get comments like, oh, you sound like an Indian, you're a scammer. This is where it stems from, that, oh, you're an Indian, you probably pirate. Like, we represent ourselves in this way, then how can we blame others for commenting shit like that on our channels or wherever we are in the public eye? They'll just do that, right? Because this is how we represent ourselves. So yeah, it's my position there is very strong. Like, if honestly I was going to just ban you completely, but I felt like I had not made the rules clear as well, so I thought I'll make the rules clear, and if someone still does that, then it'll be a permanent ban. Moiz is asking, do you still invest in AMD like back to 425? No, not yet. But if it goes in 300 range, I'm going to start adding more, because I'll tell you why in a little bit. So, by the way, overview tab has all the revenue, gross profit, operating income, net income, everything, and then also how much it has increased year over year. Okay, and this is just a rough plot of how the stock has been since 2021. So it's crazy, right? It didn't do much, and now we are right here. So this shows that long-term investing is the way to go. I mean, 2023, right? There was no real case being built for AMD, but at some point AMD has started building a case sometime, I think in 23, 24, and that's when people really started talking about how undervalued this stock is, especially last year when it went back here to 78, 85. This was the most undervalued AMD has been at this point, because the business had gone quite far. The projections were crazy, but then the stock wasn't. So there was a huge mismatch in the stock price versus what the company was projecting it will do. And if you watch Jeremy, I have said that, right? I followed Jeremy and Tom Nash. They were shouting about the stock sometime in 2025 when it was at these lows, and they were buying pretty heavy. So this is when I was skeptical too. You listen to someone on the internet and you're like, what if they are wrong, right? But if you look at it, and that's why we have to learn how to look at these stocks. But anyway, so this overview page just shows us the general picture in terms of revenue, gross profit, operating income, net income, and then here you have all the ratios. And why I said that I'm not investing at 425 is because 425, the PE ratio is still at like 150. Now agree that this company is going to keep growing at a 35-40% revenue growth rates, right? But a 140 PE ratio, I just feel like you're getting into the stock at a very high risk to reward, which is something I don't like, especially because I already have so much of AMD weighted in my portfolio. Now, it would have been a different case if I was not that heavy on AMD, like let's say only 10% or 5% of my portfolio was AMD, then I would consider buying slowly, even at this price, because the long-term case is that this stock will go to 1500, 2000 potentially, right? By the way, this is none of this is financial advice, okay? So don't treat this as some gospel. This is just me showing how I look into stuff, okay? So none of this should be taken as like, oh, this guy knows what's going on. Nobody knows what's fucking going on. People are just making assumptions based on the analysis that they do. So take care of that. But I'm just showing you how I look at things, okay? But yeah, so current PE ratio, price to earnings ratio, is at 141x. So that just I don't know, 35% revenue growth for let's say 4 or 5 years, I don't know, it's still kind of high. But if I was at 5% of the portfolio, I would have maybe started getting 1 or 2 shares stocks here and there, and then if it goes down more, I would get in more. It's just that my average is so low on AMD, like around 150 or so, I think, that I am not interested at this price. I'm just looking at it and letting it go. I do something like covered calls on this. Now this might be very new to you guys, but what it means is I can explain to you in like very simple terms, and for that I will need paint. I'll explain it very simply to you guys. I didn't say that was really bad on my part. We'll go ahead and delete everything. I think I already deleted it, but yeah, just don't represent us like that, you know. Just sad. Because if we look at ourselves like that, I think someone else also made that comment about India and Pakistan, and I was like, man, how can we talk about ourselves like this? So let me show you guys. So let's say you have 100 shares of AMD, okay? And this is an important one, because if you own 100 shares of anything, 100, 200, 300, 400, 100 multiples of anything, you can do this to get a constant income. And let's say the current price of AMD is 425, okay? You can sell a covered call for AMD at, let's say, 470. And selling a covered call means, oh man, we're getting into really deep shit here, but selling a covered call means you can sell a covered call to gain a specific amount of premium. So for example, last week I sold a covered call of AMD at 475, and I got a premium of I think $300 or something like that. So you get paid this premium instantly, right away, okay? So that's cash in your account. Now this covered call that I sold at a strike price, this is called a strike price, okay? So this covered call that I sold at a strike price of 470 has an expiry date of next week. So 7 days. Okay. So what I'm essentially saying is that if the stock price stays below 470 for the next 7 days or until the end of the next week, right, then I get to keep all my $300 of premium. Okay. So imagine, that's a lot of money, right? They don't pay that much dividend, but you can keep selling covered calls on your shares every week or every month, and you can keep earning income from it. And then you can, whatever income you earn from your covered calls, you can put it back into the stock if you want, or you can buy some other stock, doesn't matter, right? The key is you get paid a constant income for selling covered calls above the price that it's currently at. That's the general concept. Now there's a lot of stuff that you can go into, is like what are the best days to sell covered calls and what are the worst days to sell covered calls, what are the best days to buy back your covered call if it's already in profit, things like that. But I'm just giving you some tidbits so that you can go and look up what a covered call is and how you can make consistent money with a covered call. If you have 100 shares of anything, it can be AMD, it can be Nvidia, it can be some cheaper stock like CELH, doesn't matter. But now do remember that the more volatile the stock is, the more premium you will earn from that stock. So if you buy 100 shares of something that's been pretty much like flat over the years, you will not make that much premium from that stock. But AMD has a lot of volatility right now, and that is why I'm selling covered calls constantly on AMD to make money out of it. Okay, so that's the key here. Volatility is directly proportional to how much premiums you can make on a stock with a covered call. Okay, by the way, just checking in on the flight here. Still have about 80 miles to go. Atmos is looking stunning. Going back to AMD. So yeah, 141 PE. Forward PE is pretty good actually. 32 forward PE for a company that's growing this fast is decent, which is why I said Moise says if a stock is more volatile, does it mean we have a risk? Well, so if it's more volatile, then what it means is there are higher chances of the stock ending up above 470. Okay, and when you when you sell a covered call and when you select a strike price of 470, that means that if the stock ends up above 470, then you will be forced to sell all your 100 shares at 470. So you can either do this whole covered calls thing if you're willing to sell 100 shares of a stock, but you don't have to sell. If the price suddenly starts running against you, like for example, let's say I sold a covered call when the price was 425 and I bagged in $300 of premium, and then now the price just started running against me. And by against me, it means it started going way close to 470, maybe on like Monday or Tuesday. What I would do is I would just buy back my covered call and book a loss. I don't care, because I want to keep my 100 shares. I don't want to sell my 100 shares, because if the stock price ends up above 470, I'll be forced to sell my 100 shares. And when I'm forced to sell my 100 shares, that means that I will book a profit, right? And if I book a profit, that means I have to pay tax on it. So it's better for me to just take a loss and buy back my call option instead of being forced to sell these 100 shares. And I'm probably doing a terrible job at explaining covered calls. I know it in my head, I do it, but it's just a very complex concept, and there's just so many things. Like you can learn about the Greeks on options. theta, beta, and gamma. So yeah, just learn about that. It's an advanced concept. Once you have a huge portfolio, you can start doing this, because sometimes you know that the stock has run so much that it is highly unlikely for it to run more than that. And because it has run so much, it has a very high volatility. And when it has a very high volatility, you can just keep bagging premiums like this every week. If you have, let's say, 500 shares, that is 5 into 300, that's like $1,500 bagged in just 1 week. So yeah, you can choose whether you want to do it on all of your 500 shares or just 200 of them, but every single covered call will mean you have to put 100 shares on the line of that stock. Hopefully that makes sense. If not, trust me, there's like ton and ton of covered call content on YouTube, and like pretty much you can also learn it from ChatGPT. It'll explain it pretty well. But that's the gist of it. And the gist of it is you can make income on your covered call if you have 100 shares of something. We are coming back to AMD. 32 is not bad at all. Peg of 4.1, that's a little bit concerning, because that means a lot of growth is already priced in on the stock. Because if you look at the description, right, this is basically the PE ratio divided by the predicted growth rate, which if it's less than 1, that means it's very cheap. If it's 1 to 2, that's fair. More than 2 is expensive. That's saying that the current stock price has already priced in a lot of growth that AMD is going to see in at least the next 1 year. Moise says, isn't it like to book a profit and get out of the market and book a loss and still in the market? I believe you're asking that, isn't it better to book the profit and get out of the market instead of staying in the market? No, because when you book a short-term profit, you have to pay short-term gains tax on it, which is extremely high compared to long-term gains tax. Okay, and it is not good to get out of the market when your long-term narrative is that this stock is going to 1500 or 2000, right? You don't want to keep getting in and out of the market constantly, because you will just lose out on the gains. It's a very basic thing. Just remember, don't fucking keep buying and selling and buying and selling, don't keep doing this. Just know which stocks you're going to hold for the next 10-20 years. Pick those businesses right and just stay in it. Okay, yes, you will monitor it, and there will be opportunities to make more money out of it by doing things like covered calls. And covered calls is also not day trading. Covered calls is more of like a monthly or swing thing, because most of the times you will see that the monthly covered calls will have much better risk to reward or premium ratio compared to doing it every 7 days. Sometimes I would do it for 30 days, and if the stock runs in my favor, as in it loses some value in the next 7 days, then I would just close this position completely and bag whatever premium I get. It's a little bit complex to explain, but hopefully you get the point, that you just sell at a higher value than what it's currently at. If it drops very fast, then you just book profits early. It can be like 20, 30, 40%, 50%, whatever it is. Otherwise, if it stays flat, you can still just keep riding it, and you will bag all of your premium that you get from selling the covered call. Yeah, it's not better to get out the market and book the profit, because then you have to pay short-term gain tax on it, and also now you have to look for another opportunity to get into the stock, because your long-term narrative hasn't changed on it. check on this real quick.
2.6,
We have 40 miles to
764.
go.
Brisbane Center, Qantas
Xapu
764.
says, do you recommend texture resolution high or medium if I have 16 GB VRAM? I would recommend high, because I was running 16 GB VRAM and I was able to run texture resolution of high with my 4080. So I don't think high should be a problem. Because we're about 40 miles away. Let me quickly set up my, just so that we don't miss our top of descent or anything. I'm sure ATC will ping us, so there's so much to talk about this stuff that I'm not even getting to real analysis here, but that's okay. At least we are talking about these things. So yeah, covered calls is one really nice way to make income out of the stock that you already own. But the goal should never be to sell that stock unless your long-term thesis has changed. If your goal is to sell the stock, then you are able to get a little bit more out of that because you're now also getting the premium along with the profit that you'll make on the stock. So it's good for both, but most of the time I would use it for just getting a constant income out of my portfolio, which, like, why not, right? It's almost free money, almost. And I say almost because sometimes the price can run against you and you will just have to take the L and buy back that covered call. Always keep a limit of like how much you want to lose on that covered call. Sometimes, let's say a strike price is 470 and the stock runs to 480 in the next 2 or 3 days, I would just quickly buy it back. I don't want to deal with it. Okay, but net, if you look at the net money that you make every year, you will almost always be in positive, and you will be in a huge positive because sometimes you can make a lot of money from premiums. It's like free money because people are pretty greedy, and you're just making money off of their greed because they are thinking that I can buy a call that out of the money and still be in profit. And I'm saying that, dude, you're stupid. Why are you buying such high leverage calls when you know you're just going to lose all of that premium? So that's what I'm banking on. Moise is asking, thanks man, I was a little confused. I bought a stock and thought I keep with stock for next 5-10 years, but I sell and book a profit looking for a new stock. That's a shit thing. No, never do that shit. Yeah, because you are just losing out on the long-term gains that you're going to get. These stocks are going to move like, I don't know, 5, 6, 7x, 8x. Some of them will move 10x. You don't want to be getting in and out of that stock and missing out on all those good days. That's just stupid. You never want to do that. Just buy and hold. You should change your mindset from being a trader to being an investor or a collector. That's what you want to be. You don't want to be a freaking day trader. You want to be an investor. You want to be a collector of good companies. Arinson says MU has dipped quite a bit. Did it? I thought it went to like 700 or something. 724. Yeah, pretty good drop in the last 5 days. 8%. I feel like MU has a PE ratio, forward PE ratio, that is really low right now, which makes me wonder, why are people not buying this stock? I have some of MU, but not a lot. Because the PE ratio is so low, like 9, are they expecting that the growth is going to stall that much? I don't know. We'll look at that. Anyway, AMD year over year revenue growth is so one of the first things that you look at in the statement is how much revenue are you growing, is the company growing. And the second thing you would look at is how efficiently is that revenue getting grown. gonna go back to. Okay, we're still good. So first thing, how fast is the company growing? This is a very important number because no matter what they are doing to their operations, if they are not expanding the market, doesn't mean anything.
Radar vectors, ILS runway 19 left.
ILS
Call
runway
ready,
19,
1764.
call when ready. Okay, we'll be ready for descent in just a bit. So yeah, no matter how efficient their operations is going to get, if the revenue isn't growing at a decent enough rate, then doesn't mean anything, right? Because you cannot have a gross profit margin of like 90-100%, right? Because you're going to have some expenses. So revenue growth is a very important figure to look at to analyze how the company is growing. But at the same time, revenue growth is not the only thing that you should rely on to evaluate a stock. So both of the things are true. Revenue growth is important, but it is not the only thing that you should look at, because if that's the only thing you look at, you're going to miss out on a lot of things that the other statements will tell you. And you will keep wondering, man, this company is growing at 100% year-over-year revenue growth rate. Why the heck is the stock dropping so much, right? And sometimes it might make a good case that, yeah, the stock is dropping because the margin has compressed, or because they probably got into some legal issue or something, right? So it's very important to analyze it in detail. But first thing is revenue growth. Get it out of the way. It should be growing at a decent amount of rate. Anything double digit is great, but it also depends on the size of the company. If a company like, let's say Meta, which is huge, trillions of dollars of market cap, if that company is growing at a rate of more than 10-20%, that is amazing. That is crazy. Okay, so Meta, you might have seen the revenue growth rates are somewhere around, I think 30%, if I'm not wrong, not 100% sure, 35%, I think 35% revenue growth for Meta. But you saw that the stock got hammered, absolutely hammered. It came down from like 680 or something to now 600. It even went to 700 at some point, and then it came down to 600 after the last earnings. So now if you were to see only the revenue growth, right? Revenue growth on Meta was amazing, no problem at all. But investors got really worried about the capex spend that Meta declared that they were going to do. So all these things are very important. Anyway, just go and check on the flight real quick. Call ready for descent. Let's start descending. We are at top of descent.
Quarter 764, Brisbane Airport, landing runway 19 left.
Brisbane Airport, landing runway 19 left. Quarter 764.
QNH is 1018.
Good morning, descending via Burn Tree, Yankee, flight level 221. Jetstar 430, Brisbane Centre identified.
Moise is asking, let's say you have $1,000 only and you invest in other stocks or wait for AMD to be in 300 range. That's a good question actually. Like, okay, what if I have money right now that I want to invest? If you have money right now to invest, I would always stay in the market than to wait for some stock to come into some range. Okay. So and that's just my opinion. Okay, you can look up more stuff what Tom Nash says about it. I'm not sure because I haven't heard him talk about this specific thing. But my opinion is that if you have money in this snapshot of time, I would analyze whichever stocks are the best to invest in right now and stay invested in them, instead of holding that money and waiting for some stock that you're interested in to come down. When that stock comes down, you will have more money to invest later. So yeah, that's just how I think of it. Like, I always want to stay in the market than out of the market. 19 left is 110.1, so I'll put that in. But yeah, today's highlight, I guess, was covered calls being a really good way to make money out of the stocks that you already own anyway. So they will be paying dividends to you, but this is another way that you can, if you have 100, 200, 300 of something, this is another way to make money out of it. But to answer Moise's question more directly, don't wait for stocks to come into your range. Make sure you invest right now based on the companies that are, in a good range right now. Because there's two things in waiting. One is, first of all, you don't even know if this company that you're interested in is going to come into your range. What if it just keeps running? What do you do then? Second of all, there are always opportunities in the market that you can invest in, so that you can at least start gaining value. You can start getting paid dividends. Yeah, always good to stay invested than to wait. 196, put that in. For some reason, my autopilot panel on my throttle quadrant is not working. 196, probably easier the other way. No. Aryan Sim says, got to play golf now, man. Appreciate the insights. No problem. Have fun with golf, man. I have never really developed interest in golf. I do play top golf sometimes. That is fun, just hitting. Moe says, same thinking. Thank God I have one same thinking as you. Yeah, it's not worth. If anything, like, let's say you don't find any stocks, okay? Let's say you don't find any stocks right now that you want to put your money in. Then I would just put your put money in ETFs. Whenever that happens, whenever I'm like, man, there's nothing right now that I'm really itching to buy, I would just put the money in ETF, because ETF is going to pay you constant dividends. So you can put it in anything. You can put it in VTI, which is a total stock market ETF. You can put in VUG, which is more aggressive growth ETF. Anything, right? There's also VOO. You can put it in SPHD, which is like a very high dividend ETF. So if you haven't built like a safe side in your portfolio, it's always good to collect some SPHD, which is an extremely high dividend. I think it's like 4% yield on dividend. Another one is SCHD. I think SCHD and SPHD, whichever one has the low expense ratio, you just get that one. If you feel like there's no stocks that are in good range right now. So yeah, that high dividend stuff is always a good idea to diversify in. What did they tell us? Oh, they didn't tell us anything. Okay. Moise is asking one last question. How do you know this is the best time to sell this stock or any crypto thing? According to, first of all, crypto, I have very less exposure on crypto. I just have some crypto that I've bought and just left it alone. I don't even know what it's doing. I don't look at it on daily, weekly or monthly basis. So that's one part of the answer, where I don't touch my crypto portfolio. It's just there. Okay. So yeah, crypto, I just leave it alone in case it goes to 1 million at some point. Now, talking about when is the best time to sell a stock, that's a very good question. Give me 1 second. I'm just listening to what these guys are. Okay, no altitude clearance or anything, so I think we're still good. Let me make sure that. Okay, I think we should go at least to. They'll probably vector us, but I'm gonna put a direct route and then also go to 6,000, because looks like that's the final altitude there, if I'm not wrong. Where is CF19? 4,000. Okay, so let's put 4,000 in there. I'm gonna put 4,000 because they'll descend us lower anyway, so it's fine. Okay, question about when to sell. So when to sell a stock is when you have, so you start watching a stock when you have decelerating revenue growth. You start to keep an eye out for it. You start to look at the news around that stock. You start to look at the future outlook that they're putting out in the earnings call, and you start thinking about like, okay, so now so every quarter they have been increasing their revenue growth, like 35%, 38%, 45%, 50%, 70%. At some point, that revenue growth will start slowing down. At some point, that revenue growth will be at its peak, and it will start to really slow down. That is when you start really focusing on what they're saying in the earnings call, how they're answering all the analysts that have questions about the business. Are they very confident about some new stuff that is coming in that will accelerate the revenue growth again? Are they saying there are some risks, global risks that are affecting them, or things like, oh, maybe our margins are getting compressed, whatever. Like, just listen to the earnings call very carefully. That's what I would do, and then try to time your exit right. And also, never fully exit. If it's a huge company that you're really confident about, never fully exit, because let's say for Nvidia, right? People would have thought that at some point it was what, $10 stock or something like that, and now it's at least a few weeks back it was averaging around 180. It was ranging between that 180 and 190 kind of values. Now, let's say someone were to think that, oh, you know what, the revenue growth rates are not as good as they were before, but they're still good, and they're decelerating, and I should exit. That's not a good idea, because then they would have missed out on a lot of gains that Nvidia made in this last 1 or 2 weeks, right? So you should never fully exit. If you're very heavy on that stock in your portfolio, then maybe you should downsize a little bit, because you want to not be open to that much risk that stock is adding to your portfolio, because these stocks are going to move like 10x, 20x, and at some point you'll be like, man, I'm up 1000% on this stock, and it is covering up like 30% of my portfolio. So at that point you would want to downsize a little bit, not fully, but a little bit, just so that you're not exposed to the risk. But I would still keep quite a bit of that stock, because my long-term narrative is still there. So it's a very subjective thing, you know. Depends on which company it is, depends on what their future outlook is, it depends on their revenue growth, it depends on their margins, whether they're compressing, expanding, or staying constant. It depends on the global scenario, like just in general globally, what's going on, what's not going on, things like that. So it's a very subjective question, but talking about it in terms of examples, for example, AMD, right? If AMD runs to $1,000 this year, I would start downsizing a tad bit. because $1,000 this soon for AMD is quite a bit. So I would downsize at that point, and then I would add back if it pulls back, because it definitely will pull back. $1,000 is crazy valuation for the numbers that AMD is putting out right now. So that's a long drawn answer for your question, but I hope that helps. Okay, clear to 10,000 now. So it just depends on how fast your stock is running up versus how fast the company is growing. Like if the company is growing at a rate that doesn't justify the acceleration in stock growth, like 420, I'm not too worried about AMD. If it runs to 1000 this year, that'll be something. That's when I would start sizing down, because then I'd be like, man, 50% of my portfolio is just AMD. That's crazy. I need to get rid of some risk there, so that I'm not very heavily weighted on AMD. And also it gives you an opportunity to get in lower later on. But this is a very long-term talk. Like I'm doing this like maybe once in 2-3 year time frame. 2, 3, even 5 years maybe. Like I barely sell anything. Descend to 10,000, 1018. So all of this is set. In general, you just want to ride it for the long run, because if you look at stock prices 20 years back, you will realize that you should not have sold anything. Anyone who sold or held cash has basically just lost money. Anyone who has day traded has lost money, unless you are like in that 0.1% day trader population who actually earn money, and even that is not as much as someone who has just bought the stocks and held it. So imagine, right, heading 345. What? I think they mean left. Oh no, it's right. Okay, 345. And I think now that we are off track, let me also go to the altitude that they've told us to go to and not descend lower. So 10,000, 345, and we are going. Okay. All depends on company's position and timeline. Yes, yeah, it depends on company's position, timeline, overall market structure, how other companies are responding to something. It's very subjective. Need to remember to keep my replay. Yeah, one thing you don't want to hold the regret of like, damn, I should have just left those stocks. I already had it. I should have just left it. Because so yesterday in a video, Tom Nash was talking about this. Dead people, listen to this very carefully, okay? Dead people's portfolio always outperforms living people's portfolio. Can you imagine? So basically a dead guy is outperforming the living. You know why? Because the dead guy is doing nothing. He is not doing anything to his portfolio. He's just sitting on it, dead. While the living is thinking about a ton of things. Oh, when do I sell it? When do I buy? When do I sell? When do I buy? What do I do to make more money? It's thinking of all of this. And that's why the living portfolios are losing over dead people's portfolio. I think this study was done by Vanguard, if I'm not wrong. But that's the that's a very good proof of why you should never sell, at least heavily, right? because you can almost never ever time the market. So all these guys on the internet that are like, oh, the crash is going to happen, AI bubble is going to burst, you don't know that. You never know that, because this AI bubble can keep inflating for the next 10 years, 20 years, or it can burst in the next year. You don't know. So are you going to trust some stupid guy on the internet who is trying to predict the bubble that, oh, it can happen next year, it can happen next to next year? No. Why would you do that? You just keep investing, stay invested, hedge your portfolios right, and keep your risk covered, you know.
Good morning, QNH 1018, expect radar vectors for ILS runway 19 left.
QNH 1018, expect radar vectors for ILS runway 19 left. Quanta 764.
Quanta 764, descend to 6,000 feet.
Descend to 6,000 feet. Quanta 764.
Just focusing a little bit on getting everything situated here. 6,000. So let's go 6,000. It's irritating that I have to use my mouse today.
Turn right, heading 355.
Turn right, heading
355.
Quanta 764.
This chime bug is still there. CS Money is asking, where are we going? We are going to Brisbane on the Pmdg 737. So yeah, another advice for today, highlight, apart from the covered calls tip, is that never try to time the market. Never try to guess that, oh, I'm going to sell because I am expecting a crash to come next year. That crash will never come, and when it comes, you will be very bullish on the market. So don't try to do that. Just keep investing, stay invested, cover your risks, and you'll be fine in the long run. Because if you try to time the market, you're going to lose out on a lot of gains, or you'll just lose money. This is something I've learned. I was actually lucky enough to be following the right people, and I learned that very quickly. Moise is asking when to share your tool. Oh man, yeah, I need to finish that thing. It's at a point where it's like, it's there, but the problem is, how do I distribute it? Because it's actually a GitHub repo which has this tool in it, and it's going to be very difficult to run it because I run these specific commands with specific requirements and stuff. So I still need to work on converting it to an app that can be easily run. That's the problem that I'm running into right now. It's like, not the problem, I just need time to convert it into an app. That's all.
Quanta 764, descend to 5,000 feet.
Okay, 5,000.
5,000 feet.
Actually, Beyond ATC is not doing bad today in terms of giving vectors and stuff. So I'm pretty
Heading 350.
impressed.
Turn left, heading 350. Quanta 764.
Okay, 350. Let's see. I don't know why it's turning me by that much, but we'll take it. Clouds are looking absolutely stunning. I don't have the Sim GFX just yet. I might buy it at some point. By the way, we have marginal VFR weather right now.
Quanta 764, descend to 4,000 feet.
Okay,
Descend to
4,000.
feet. Quanta 764.
Quanta 764, turn left, heading 290.
Turn left, heading 290. Quanta 764.
Nice vectoring by Beyond ATC today. Very nice. Approach VRAM not selected. We're going to do that real quick here. And in terms of
Quarter 764.
flight plan,
Descend to 3,000 feet.
Descend to 3,000 feet, quarter 764.
Quarter 764. 3 miles from CF19IL. Turn left. Heading 230. Maintain 3,000 feet until established on the final approach course. Cleared ILS runway 19 left.
Turn left, heading 230. 3,000 feet until established. Cleared ILS runway 19 left, quarter 764.
CS Money says your country. I am from India, but I live in the US right now. Approach, we'll enable that. ILS, we are established, so we are above 3000, so that's fine. We are a little bit high on the slope though. Hopefully we'll capture that soon here. And we have a ton of rain going on. I'll keep my speed brakes on for a bit because I feel like it's getting a little bit. And I'm gonna also hit record right here so we don't forget about recording. And let's go flaps 1. I'm gonna have to take over my descent rate because I don't want to be high. And also I believe I need to turn up the sim audio, which I'll do as well. I'll wait until the glide slope is captured. We are still about 7 miles or so. And then now I can go to 2000. Keep going. Running a little late on this prep, so I'm having to just chase this glide slope here. Almost there. Let's just chase it a little bit more so that we get on it quick, and then I think we should be able to slow down pretty quick. Okay, there we go. And our missed approach altitude here is 4000, so I'm gonna set that. 4000 is good. Slowing down. That's a very late prep, like uncomfortably late prep, but it's okay, I guess.
1000.
220 at 6, so winds are not a concern today. And we'll leave our speed right above VRAM here. And speed brakes are armed. Okay, he's taking over.
400.
It's a very late, weird prep that we did here today. But it's okay.
300. Approaching minimums. 200. Minimums. 100. 50. 30. 20. 10.
Man, my you know what, I'm just gonna go around. My track IR is totally messed up, like totally messed up. I'm just gonna go around. Like it was absolutely messed up. Declare go around. Let's do that.
764 on the go.
Airspeed low. Airspeed low.
2764. As we approach 2764, 700 feet.
Delta 764, welcome back. Continue.
Continue 2764.
Okay, we'll fly it up to 4,000 and then settle in here. Oh, they told us to fly runway heading. Let's just go runway heading. What a mess. Should have prepped early. And then this freaking, I could have landed too. Freaking track IR just messed up my whole view. Now I know that Beyond ATC is not the best at vectoring after you do your so I'm just gonna have to CS money. Is it true that you have a sacred animal in India? Cow. What the fuck is that question? What a stupid question is that? What a stupid question. Amanda GS says, hi bro, I'm new. What's up, man? Also, what's going on with my yoke here? Do you see that? Why is it stepping like that? Do you see that? I'm just gonna fly manual into this. And also I'm gonna turn off track IR because holy shit, this thing really messed me up. Yeah, with Beyond ATC you always end up higher. It's weird. Yeah, they descended me. I should have been at 4,000 feet right when I joined the localizer. But freaking Beyond ATC and then Tracker did it for me at the end, where it just completely messed up my view, where I was actually looking down but this thing looked outside, which totally threw me off. But anyway, let's just get back in. And I'm gonna stay at, how about we stay at 2000 and we'll stay at that speed. I descended a bit because there were clouds right above. I'm pretty much just going VFR here. Yeah, the yoke is weird. Now it's fine. Maybe it was something to do with autopilot. Okay, 2000. And then I guess we'll, how about we change our heading? Gosh man, this thing is also not working today. Everything is just broken. So we'll go heading select for now, and let's zoom out a little bit. So it had to be 4000 here, so we can maybe start turning roughly at this point and then come back in for another one. To be careful next time with beyond ATC, and also enable track. If I really want to, I should enable track IR a little bit early on, because now it's fine, but when I enabled it last time, maybe I was doing too many things at once and it just messed up. Okay, that should be good enough, and then now we can start turning in. Gosh, bro, I'm gonna subscribe to SI. We play flight sim for enjoyment, not for headache. That's why I went to SI and then I just unsubscribed. But now with this again, yeah, I've never seen SI do this kind of stuff for me. It almost always, like 95% of the time, it has lined me up perfectly at the right altitudes. But it took me to like 6000 and then I was late on prep. I think everything would have still worked out if it wasn't for my track IR. That's what really messed me up. Okay, we should be good. Let's just prep early now. Get our landing gear down. Leave it at 148. And then flaps 30. Make sure our VRAM hasn't changed. I don't think it went down 1 knot. Okay, glide slope is captured. Go again, missed approach altitude at 4000. I also fumbled a lot on my missed approach. Maybe we should practice missed approach a little bit more. Skyroute official is asking, flying is a hobby or real life pilot? I only have a PPL in real life, but I don't fly in real life as a career. I'm an engineer, so flying is just a hobby. Okay, let's take over so that we get used to the airplane a little bit. The replay is on, so we'll be able to see some nice replays. I'm also going to turn off my auto throttle and enable track IR. Hopefully it will not mess me up this time. Okay, let's focus now. Turned on my touchdown FX add-on just so we get a good landing analysis out of it. Touchdown wise it wasn't bad, but overall, like from crab and bank and all that, I think it was pretty bad. We'll pull up the landing analysis and obviously we'll see the replays, so we'll know more. But yeah, from all of that it was pretty bad. Also, what's wrong with all this stutters, man? Getting crazy amount of stutters on approach with this new driver and whatever. Crazy stutters. Anyway, it was looking good at least. Now let me pull up the replay tool here so that we can watch the replay. Actually, before that, let me show you guys how the landing really went. So you can see that on Touchdown FX, which is this nice little tool here. So if I double click on this view, and that will show up my landing analysis. So it was a 154 FPM, G-force of 1.19, not bad, but it was really bad from a pitch, crab and touchdown zone standpoint, which is why it killed us on the overall score. But yeah, not the best landing I've done on the 737, because this thing is definitely a butter machine. Could have done better in terms of crab. I thought I decrabbed it, but maybe not. Let's look at the replay, see how it looked. Play 80 knots. Go outside. And then let's just forward it a little bit. I'm mostly interested in the last few moments here. Let's see how it looked like. Sim is looking stunning though. Moise says a little bit of a floater but butter. Yeah, it was a butter, but overall not a great land. I want to see how much of a crab angle I had. I tried to decrab at the end. Approach was amazing though. Like I was able to keep it on the glide slope pretty well, but then at the end all the stutters and everything just made me go a little bit wishy-washy on the flare. Yeah, I see why. I see why that turned into a bad landing. That was actually a very good landing, which turned into a bad landing in the end. So what we'll do here is we can go to the drone camera and then adjust the drone camera. Track aircraft, and then we can okay, Control Shift D to make it fast, and then we can adjust our camera to make it face the airplane, and then zoom in a little bit, maybe put some bokeh effect or whatever, like the focus thing. And now let's see how the landing looked like from this view. Pmdg still has this issue of the landing gears not popping in. And the landing gears just disappear. Maybe the other view would be this view. Is this side land? Yeah, I guess this is better. Okay guys, I'm gonna leave it to some replays at the end here. That was a lot of fun. Although we didn't get to analyze all the stocks, we pretty much just ran out of time, but hopefully at least whatever we discussed was still helpful to some of you guys. Two key highlights were covered calls and when to sell a stock. Those were the two main discussions we had from what I remember. That looks amazing. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave it to some more replays, and I'll see you guys on the next weekend, on the next stream. And if I have some time to make videos in between, I will upload, but otherwise we'll most definitely see you on the next stream. Let's watch some replays together and have a good week. Moise says watch till the end, enjoyed very much. Thanks a lot Moise, for supporting the channel as always, and I'll see you guys on Discord. Enjoy the replays.